I read my first ever Dan Brown book, and while there was a chance that I would not like it, based on everything I know about it, I saw the first movie, it really did not feel like a book for me. I read it because of a project coming up later. This is a little bit of a teaser. And truth is, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's really bad. It's actually a really, really awful experience. But instead of just being a plain old hater, I decided to make this analysis and show why I feel this and what we can learn. So let's go. A little bit of a disclaimer. I'm going to talk about Dan Brown as the author. I'm going to talk about the work. I'm going to talk about the book and him in the role of the author and the storyteller of the story. It's not personal. I have nothing against the guy. I've never met him. I'm sure he's a lovely man. This is not personal. This is just for comedic effect and criticism and fun. And not directed at Dan Brown's person. That being said, Dan Brown is 100% a kind of guy that loves smelling his own farts. This whole book has the veneer of intellectualism. It is the epitome of show don't tell. It is a bombardment of exposition. Granted, thorough research, but also it holds momentum in a way I've never experienced in a book before. If there's anything that could be interpreted, he will explain it. So you don't have to. If there's any emotional beat whatsoever that makes you feel anything, he will undercut it instantly with something else. This book feels like a glorified Wikipedia article with chase scenes in between. Now, it's called The Inferno, which is a reference to Dante's Inferno. I have read Dante's Inferno, actually, which, if it makes me as pretentious as the characters in this book, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. I see my mistakes and the error of my ways now. However, you might think it's a good thing to have read Dante beforehand. Well, my friend, that's why you're wrong. That's why you're absolutely wrong. Because Dan Brown will go to painstakingly long length to explain Dante's Inferno and every reference and every real world implications of his life and the story and so on and so forth. It feels like someone explaining your own house to yourself very slowly. It is mind-numbingly in a way. At one point, structurally, it kind of cuts to Landon, the main character, Robert Landon, the symbologist, who's played by Tom Hanks in all the movies. It cuts to him, it cuts to a flashback of him doing a lecture, just talking about Dante's Inferno, conveying information that Dan Brown could not fit within the story. It feels like a PowerPoint presentation wrapped in a fiction story. Again, it feels like a very unnatural way to deliver any kind of information. And also, the flashback scenes do not have really anything to do. It's just Dan Brown, again, flexing this weird amount of research he's done. The story is about Robert Landon, and he wakes up in Florence with amnesia, just like Dante did. He is rescued, I guess, he's saved by a young doctor named Sienna Brooks, who's the main lead in this story. She's a young woman, she's blonde. You know she's blonde because it is told approximately a million times that she's blonde, even though she's not really blonde. And she's this god genius intellect. She has an IQ of 200 something, 205 or something. She knows many languages, she taught herself neuroscience, she became a doctor, she read Dante when she was 7. It's like the plot is that her brain developed differently, so she just became instantly smart. And of course, this led to a lot of isolation and tough childhood. The way we know this is Landon basically just Googles her name, and again, we are served an exposition dump. Not the first time, nor the last time in this book. She can also use like Chinese pressure points to get people, neutralize people and threats, which I don't think is a real thing. But the problem with her is that she is a Frankenstein monstrosity of plot requirements. She's like a utility knife in a plot sense. Because every time there's a problem they can solve, she solves it. But Landon still has to be the smartest person in the room for some reason. So sometimes he will just have to explain like these little things. This is actually a symbol of blah, blah, blah. This is actually a reference to the Greek gods. And Sienna's just sitting there, like, why would you establish a character being so smart and capable and then so stupid just to make the main character look good? At one point, the most egregious example of this is when Landon explains to her what a plague mask is. Surely you know what a plague mask is. Surely a genius level intellect knows what a plague mask is. If nothing else, you've seen it in pop culture, haven't you? How can you not know what a plague mask is? Aye. This brings me to a little problem that Dan Brown uses a lot, which is basically he's very bad at making characters stick out or having them have an actual character. So he will come up with a physical characteristic and then latch onto that like a leech. There's an assassin lady with spiked hair going after trying to kill Robert and Sienna, and she has spiked hair. And you know this because she has spiked hair. Oh, it is told so many times. And I guess the reason is so you kind of know, a build lady with spiked hair, that's the assassin lady, okay? Register. It feels like a checklist. Like now you know who this character is based on these strange characteristics, or at least one visual thing. She's totally underbaked and underperformed. She gets disavowed by the Shadow Organization almost instantly when she's introduced, and thus she has to find her own way, but she's not really a character, right? At some point, Landon sees someone with a baseball cap, and it's described like, he knew there was spiked hair underneath. Like, okay, it's the assassin lady. Why don't you give her a name? Why don't you? I guess it's fine because Landon wouldn't know her name, but why would you do it like that? Why would you do, I knew this. Just don't talk about the spiked hair so much. We know. The audience know. The audience is way smarter than Dan Brown thinks they are. Now I go to the structure of the book. Here's how it works. Landon and Sienna goes to a place that is culturally significant, a landmark, where Dan Brown makes an exposition dump, and they are found by the shadowy organization dressed in black who chases them. They have to escape to another landmark where they do another exposition dump, and then they're chased from that to another one and another one and another one ad infinitum. This is mind-numbing, and at some point, my brain rejected the information, like my body rejected a foreign object. I could not process the information anymore. It was just going in one ear, out the other. There is no. It takes the plot and grinds it to a screeching halt to a degree I've not seen anywhere, really. It's frankly impressive. It's like if I played you a song, right? I played your song, the same song, and then I played it again. It's like, I mixed the drums a little bit different. Do you hear it? And you're like, yeah, I can kind of hear it, but it's kind of the same. And then I play the same song again, like, do you hear? I mixed the bass line different this time. And you're like, I can barely hear that, but I guess it's kind of cool, but it's the same. It's kind of the same thing. At some point, you've just listened to the same song with very few differences 60 times in a row. At the last time, you're gonna strangle me to death, and I would deserve it. Dan Brown believes that if he just drops enough facts about Dante or Venetian architecture, and that counts for something, that counts for plot or story, it doesn't. Again, feels like a Wikipedia article come to life. The book also has this very annoying thing where the characters would say something in Italian or hear a phrase in Italian, and they're like, that actually means this is this, and this is the Latin word for blah, blah, blah. And the other one is like, that's impressive. Not many people know this phrase in Italian. And it's like, Jesus, man, why are we doing it like this? Why are we flexing our intellects like it's something to be? I mean, it's so dreadfully boring at times. At times, it's so dreadfully boring all the time. Because the structure is so circular, it feels like a lot of things happens, but nothing happens at all. There's no forward momentum. It's like running on a treadmill. You get the illusion of going somewhere, but you are not moving an inch. It happens all the time. So at one point when I was halfway through the book, I thought, man, stuff has happened, but I couldn't really tell you what because they're just getting chased and then exposition. And I finished the book yesterday. I don't even remember any of the freaking Dante lore. Because why would I? Is it important to the plot? No. It's also horribly repetitive. Every time a new character is introduced to the plot, they need a breakdown of what has happened in the plot and what the bad guy is up to and Robert Langdon's amnesia situation. Right? Every single time. Which means information that the reader knows because I was there when I read it the first time. I was there when it happened. You don't have to tell me again. Momentum is not a thing in this book. It just spins, it wheels again and again and again and again. If you deleted all the unnecessary exposition and plot contrivances and repetitions, this book would be 50 pages long. It's like when you go to a party with someone, right? And this person you're going with, they tell the same anecdote to every person you meet. So by the fifth time you've heard the same anecdote, you're ready to jump out the freaking window. That is this book. That is this book incarnate. At one point, he writes the same scene the same way from a different POV. I thought I had lost my mind. It is borderline the same thing. I switched to audio at that point because I could not finish it in paperback. I thought my audiobooks app was broken or bugged. I was like, I've already heard this. It probably just, skipped back to that scene. No. We're here. It's just the same scene. Just for the reveal. Who does that? That feels like it should be illegal. I'm not gonna lie. This brings us to the most boring protagonist of all, Robert Langdon. Robert Langdon has nothing really going for him. There's nothing interesting about him except he is right all the time about everything all the time. He's a real Gary Stu whose secret power is memory. Now, of course, he has amnesia in the story, so his super memory is still a thing, right? It just, I don't remember this, and then the plot needs me to remember it. I remember it now. All right, fine. And he said he has an eidetic memory, but at one point he's like, if my eidetic memory was more powerful, I could remember the exact thing Dante wrote. I'm like, that's not how an eidetic memory works, right? It's not a power level. You're not a Dragon Ball character. It's not like if I just power up, I can remember. If I go Super Saiyan, I can remember more of this thing. I unlock more in my brain. What? Also, now that I'm nitpicking, and I don't know if this is nitpicking or what it is, but I'm just gonna say it. At one point, the book says Robert Langdon was not a runner, but years of swimming had made his legs strong. Now, strong or powerful, I don't remember the word. Now, this feels wrong to me. I know swimmers have big lats, giant lats, shoulders, arms. So I thought, this seems wrong to me. So I asked an expert. I asked my dad. My dad is a former triathlon athlete and a former competition swimming coach. And I called him up and said, Dad, do swimmers have strong legs? And he was like, not really. Like, you're not. If you swim a lot, you're gonna get a big, upper body. That's the whole thing. But they're not really known for strong legs. If he could have been they probably should just made him like a bicycle guy. A boring professor who does bicycling is so standard, man. And again, this is not nitpicking. Maybe it is nitpicking, but I am what you made me, Dan Brown. You did this to me. The book is so uninteresting. I have to fill it out with my own research. I have to fact check you now. There's also a point where he talks about the tree jacket, because of course, he's a professor. Let's talk about the tree jacket and the brands that there are. Help me. Please help me. He also has a Mickey Mouse watch, which I presume is a thing in the other books too. It is taken away from him and then returned to him at the end of the book, luckily. Now, you can't have a boring character and then give him a quirky piece of clothing or accessory and say, now he's quirky too, right? If he had a shirt that said Wild Child, it wouldn't make him fun at parties. That's not how it works at all, right? Seems strange. Another thing that really bugs me about this book is there's no heat between Sienna and Landon. And with heat, I mean, every time there is the possibility of something happening romantically, Brown shuts it down with the force of 1,000 suns. At one point, Landon says, I really hope that this is all a dream. And I just wake up. And Sienna's like, wouldn't you miss me? No. And he's like, I guess I would miss you a little bit. And he just pats his knee and be like, time to go to work, professor. Like, okay, there's nothing happening here. And that's fine. You don't have to force a romantic interaction. Surely not. You can have a platonic thing. That's totally fine. But don't give me I could totally make one. I don't think you could make one here, Brown. I don't think you could make one. Either you make a romantic, you make it juicy and make it with heat and like attraction. Or you make it friendship. You can't have this, you maybe want to hold hand after lunch. Get out of here, man. We are not in high school. We are adults. And we deserve adult stuff. Let's talk about the villain now. The villain is called Bertrand Sophist. Soprist. Something like that. His whole thing is that overpopulation is going to be a problem, so he's going to release a virus. make sure that world population is gonna be under control. This is based on the Malthusian principle or paradox, I don't remember, where overpopulation, there's a finite amount of resources, and overpopulation is going to crumble the earth and everyone's going to die, right? Now, this was contested back in 2013 when the book came out, and has later been comically dismantled in a scientific way. Actually, the biggest problem today is, in the modern world, at least in the West, is underpopulation. Huge problem. Huge problem. So when the villain's plan is based on debunked science, you just kind of, and everyone takes it so seriously within the book. Oh my days. And they talk about it like it's the end of the world, and it's so serious. And you're sitting in like the present being like, that's not really the problem here. This is not the problem right now. So he strikes me as someone being really not that threatening. Also, I didn't really clock he died in the book. I get at that point I was so tuned out, I didn't register him dying. I also didn't register Sienna do a betrayal, because Sienna does her betrayal, and then I had to Google, does she betray him? Yes, he did. All right, and then she's back on the good team again, like instantly. I'm like, what even happened, man? And this is another rant about structure, right? Dan Brown cannot structure tension to save his life. At one point, Landon is at a place looking for Sienna, and he's like, I hope I didn't do a miscalculation. And then instantly, he's like, she's over there. Okay, you didn't build the tension for a second. So the scene is basically, I hope it wasn't a mistake. She's over there. Like, that's just, huh? He cannot be wrong. Landon cannot be wrong about anything. Or even, he cannot even have doubts for more than a millisecond. Who structures a book like this? Huh? I'm so confused. At least, make us doubt. Make us believe he could be wrong at some point, at some times, for some reason. He never does. And because he never does, you also know, he's getting chased all the time. He's not going to get captured or shot or anything. The danger's an illusion. He has so much plot armor. He's played by Tom Hanks, after all. At one point, the book poses a moral, philosophical question. Would you kill half the population on Earth and then secure the species' survival, or kill nobody but the whole species going extinct within 100 years? That's a fun philosophical question to test your moral view, right? And Lennon gets this question, and he doesn't answer. He just quivers around it like, that's difficult. And then instantly, he's like, it's over there. So he poses the question, and then be like, hey, look over here, look what this is. Like a freaking dog. What? And then again, make Landon take a stance, man. Make him a practical guy, a practicalist, saying, okay, we have to do this. Utilitarianism or whatever. Kill half, just your survival. Or make him an idealist, saying, I don't want to kill anybody. Don't pose the question and then don't answer the question. It's not interesting to pose the question. You have an opportunity to make Landon more than a boring ass professor, and you squandered it. I would rather you just shut up. I would rather you not try and be clever if you don't have a stance on it. If your main character doesn't have a stance. Because if he has no stance, he has no character, he has no convictions. What is his fucking point? Except for freaking symbols all the time. At one point, Landis looks at a freaking, I don't know, a restaurant, the toilet, or, toilet or whatever. And he's like, even the most novice symbologist would know that this is a, reference to going to the bathroom. I'm like, shut up with the symbols, man. And I'm going to talk about the twist. I'm going full spoilers now. I don't really care. If you're going to go in spoiler free, don't read the book. Read something else. So the twist is that the people after him, the people in black, were not really bad guys. It was just an illusion. They also gave him the amnesia to make him believe someone after him to kill him, so that he would find Soprist and uncover his secret evil plan. Huh? What? So the whole chase, all the chases were all null and void? There's nothing. It's like being on a track, right? And you're going to run the track. Instead of running the track, you just spin around 360. I'm back where I started. You did no movements, man. You did no movements. This is a stupid twist. This is a horrible twist. You know how boring a book has to be when you don't clock that the main antagonist dies? Maybe that's just me. Maybe it's because I'd listened for so long, my brain had become mush. I just want to finish the freaking thing. I did read it in audiobook because had I read it on paperback, I would have DNF'd it on the first page. And as I said, I need it for a project. So again, teaser for that thing. Now let's talk about the big picture here, because Dan Brown lives in a strange place in history. In a way, his popularity can be viewed more as an archaeological, cultural thing, because he came out post 9/11, pre-smartphone, where people hungered for dark secrets. But who's his books actually for? Because it's for the intellectually curious, but not rigorous people, meaning those who do not want to do their own research. People who want a good story, but doesn't care about the conspiracy theories, is going to hate the book because it's not a good story. And people who just want to know about the conspiracy theories don't want to read about the plot. Today, you can just jump into a rabbit hole of YouTube video conspiracy theories and be entertained for hours and just get served the straight facts about what happened. The idea that there's forbidden knowledge and you can only access it through Dan Brown was a giant marketing tool back in the day. But his theories would have been too wild had he come out before, and it would be too tame if he had come out today. So in a way, he just hit the right place. He could only exist at that time in the world, in time, so to speak. When I go to used bookstores, there are more Dan Brown than anyone else. It's like it's like the hangover is over, and we have all collectively found out that that Dan Brown was very popular at one point, and we're all like, that wasn't very good, or very interesting, or very fun, or it really didn't anything at all culturally. It's a fun thing to look back on. Like, oh, our culture was very interested in this kind of particular thing at some point. Not anymore. So that's the book. It turned my brain into mush. It made me incredibly frustrated. It's probably one of the worst books I've ever read that I finished, at least. And I don't recommend it to anybody ever. And if your argument is, you should read the first one to get a better understanding of Landon as a character, then I am suspicious of that claim. But this is just my opinion, of course. If you really like Dan Brown, if you love the book, or just Dan Brown's writing in general, please let me know in the comments, because I would actually really know. I really want to know. I really want to know, because I don't get the appeal. I mean, I do get the appeal. I just mentioned the appeal, but I feel like the appeal is old now. So that's my Dan Brown first time reader, first and last. I'm done. I'm just done. Bye.